Hey guys, welcome back to Shop Foreman Garage. Today we are working on this 2021 Mazda CX-5. We need to replace the right rear window regulator and motor assembly. Yeah, it's a 2021. It only has about 17,000 miles on it, and the right rear window regulator supposedly it's gone out. It is binding. It caused the motor to become weak and not move the window properly. I didn't diagnose it, but we do have parts, and we're gonna check it out and see what happens. So if you need to replace a window regulator and motor in your Mazda, I'll show you how you can do it. It's pretty easy to replace it in the rear here. It's pretty easy to do it in the front. It's pretty much the same repair either way. And I'll show you how to do it. I'll show you some little tips and tricks and stuff, and let's get going. Oh no. All right, let's look at this and see what it's doing. So you see the window is down. I can move it back and forth. A little bit of slack in here is not a big deal. And when I roll it down, I can roll it down. I try and roll it up. That's what it's doing. It's like it's not moving. And once I moved it a couple times, now it doesn't want to move at all. I'm pushing down on it and it's not going anywhere. Pulling up and it's not going anywhere. So it moves just for a little bit, usually down, and then it doesn't want to go up, and then it becomes so weak it won't move at all. And right now I have the vehicle running, so I got enough power going to this motor, so it should be working. So let's get this thing apart, and I'll show you how to take this door panel off and get this regulator out and everything, and I'll show you how to replace it, and then we'll see what happens. So the first thing I'm going to do is, it's got this, let me show this to you. It's got this cover in here, and there's a screw underneath here, and I'm just going to stick my screwdriver here and pull it up. It's just rubber, just a rubber piece right here, and there's a screw right there. So I'm going to set that aside, and right up inside here where the door handle is, you can see that little slot right there. I'm going to stick my screwdriver in there. I'm not going to stick it too far in there, but I'm going to stick it in there like that, and I'm going to pop it. I'm just going to pull it out, and then there's a screw right there. This is what that thing looks like. Set my screwdriver down. So that's what that looks like. It just pops right out of there. So let me get these screws out, and then we'll start pulling this door panel off. Okay, so we just need to get a screwdriver. In this case, I'm going to use this drill thing right here, and I'll take these two screws out. And this one right here. That's it. It's just these two screws. That's all that's holding it. And then we need to pop the door panel off. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this trim tool right here. It's a trim clip tool. And I'm going to stick it right down here on the very bottom. There's a spot where you can feel there's like a little lip. And usually there's a spot on most door panels where you can grab it. And I'm just going to kind of barely stick this under here and try and pop it up. I'll start popping those trim clips. I'm going to go around, start popping them out. All the way around. Grab the door, start popping it. And there is one up here on the top. Just going to pop that. And this door panel, you can either pull it completely straight off, or you can bring it up, and I'll show you why. You can do it either way. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and pull it up, pull it out and up. Okay, and of course this came off. I'll show you how that works. Let's see if you can even see in here. There's the harness right here that I need to unclip. I'll just unclip that from the window switch that's in the door panel. So I'm going to set this door panel aside. All right, so now we can look in here. So what I need to do, and this piece right here is coming off. And the reason why, this is not the first time I pulled this door panel off. So I actually had taken this off and I shoved this down in there like that before, because the customer came in and the window was closed, was open. We needed to get it closed for the customer. So I had a hard time getting this window up, but I got it closed for the customer, and I took the connector that goes to the switch and I kind of shoved it down in here. That's supposed to connect right there, but I shoved it down in here like that so it wouldn't get any power, so somebody couldn't accidentally roll the window down, because you wouldn't be able to get it up. So that's why some of this stuff is off. So what we need to do is we need to get this panel right here off. The window regulator is connected to this panel on the inside, and we can't pull this off with a window regulator if the window is still attached to it. So we need to take the window off of the regulator so that we can get the regulator and this door panel off here. Right here, see if I can pop this open, if I can find my screwdriver. Right here is this little plug right here. So I can get it out of here. Come on. That hole right there, and then there's another one right here. This is where we're going to be disconnecting the window from the regulator. So I can't see anything in there. We need to get this window down so that we can get the screws out. So what happens if your window motor is completely gone out and it won't move at all? If that's the case, you could take the window motor off and this thing should slide. Be careful, because it may want to fall down. And we can slide it to the point where we can get these screws off. What if the window regulator itself is bound up? And what if the cables have gotten all tangled into a knot or something? Because sometimes that happens. Then the window regulator won't move at all. The window won't move at all. And in that case, you're going to have to take the motor off, pull this panel off right here, and you're going to have to reach in there with a pair of pliers or something like that, and you're going to have to cut one of these cables to get the thing to move, because you cannot get this panel right here off. You can't get it off if the window is still attached to the regulator. Now, there is another way. You could also, this screw right here, that screw right there, this attaches to the window regulator. It attaches the window regulator to this panel. These screws right here also attach the window regulator to the panel and the motor. So you'd have to take these screws out, that nut out right there, and then the window regulator could fall into the door. Then we could get this panel off. And that's another way to do it. Of course, if you do that, then the window's just gonna fall, you know, so you gotta be careful about that too. And I'll show you how we can hold this window up. If it were a front window regulator that we were replacing, you either need to hold these windows up or you need to take them out. Front windows, they're a lot easier to take out because of the way that they're designed. They have an angle that goes up. The rear don't. They're pretty much square, so they're harder to take out. You can take them out, of course. You can take them out, but you got to get these screws over here off, and you have to move this piece right here out of the way so that you can try and get it out. And also the run channel, which is this rubber piece that goes all along here has to come out, and on some Mazdas, that's almost impossible. Run channel's part of the outside sash molding. Sometimes it's really ridiculous on some of the new Mazdas. But in this case, this thing does move. We know it moves. So what I'm going to do is get the door panel, and I'm going to connect the connector back up right here, so I can feel how that connector goes in there. Connect it up. Okay, so I need to move the window down. Hopefully it moves. Yep, move it down till I can see those screws. There they are, right there. Right there, on both sides. I can see the screws. So now I can disconnect it, and just so you know, the vehicle's still running. Get that off. Set this aside. So there's those screws there. And so I'll be pulling that out. I need to get this harness off of this panel because this panel is going to be coming out. So let me get this harness off and get those screws out, and then I'll show you how we can hold this window up. There's a bunch of different ways to do it, but I'll show you a special way that I do it. I mean, it's not, you know, some special super duper way, but it works for me, and I know it'll work for you too, as long as you got a little hook. I'll show you. So let me get this off, and we'll do that. All right, I'm gonna disconnect this connector right here and pull all these clips out as carefully as I can without breaking them. Sometimes they come apart, and that's just the way it is. Every single one of them. So we got to get this harness off of this panel, and this harness does connect to the window motor right here. So I'm going to disconnect the window motor. And that is pretty much it. I got a 10mm socket to go into these bolts right here. Take them off. Be careful not to drop the bolt into the door. Both of them. And so now this window should move, and I can just grab it, but it will just completely fall down. So there is, this is the way that I hold them. So I got this little hook thing right here, and turn this light on. Got this hook, right? I'm gonna take this rag, I'm gonna kind of fold it up, and I'm going to roll this thing in this rag, just like that. Now, let's come over here. I'm gonna pull this window up, keeping pressure on it so I don't drop it. Bring it all the way up, and see if I can do this with one hand. I'm gonna hook this under here, so let me show this to you. So what I did was I pulled this up, and I was holding it with my hand like this. I'm putting pressure on the outside, and I'm holding it like that. With the other hand, grab this hook, and right inside there, you can see the bottom of the window, bottom of the glass, and it kind of goes down. It kind of comes up, back up here on this side too. So I'm gonna grab the bottom of that window with this hook, kind of like that, and then I'm gonna let the window down, and the hook's gonna grab it. Well, I missed it this time because I'm trying to do it with one hand, but the hook's gonna grab it, and the hook is basically holding the window up. And I put this rag on here to keep the the hook from scratching the window tint, although you could tell by looking at this window, this customer has a dog, and the dog has smeared up the window glass, but we still want to protect it. So now we just need to take the window regulator, and this they call this a door module. So we're going to pull this whole module out, and the regulator and motor and everything will come out with it. So let's get this out. We just got to pull a bunch of 10mm bolts out, and then there's this one clip right here. So get all the 10mm bolts out and then get that one clip off. All right. Every bolt. Okay, that's all the bolts. Set those aside. This one clip right here, pop this clip out. And then this door module should come right out. And that's it. And so this is the window regulator. Here's where the motor attaches. You got these cables that come up in here. The cables run along and operate this thing right here, which the window sits down in this groove right here and attaches. And then the cable runs along here. So if this were bound up, and sometimes this might break down here or something, that the window doesn't want to move, but it's up and you need to get it down so you can get through these holes right here, you have to take this panel off, reach around the thing, reach around and cut this cable right here. You're gonna have to cut it with something, a pair of dikes or wire cutters or bolt cutters or whatever you can get in there. Be careful, because there's springs and all kinds of stuff that's just gonna go flying. Of course, it's gonna be inside the door, and you just need to get those out later. But if you cut that, then that will allow this window to come down. But make sure that you're holding the window, because it's gonna wanna fly down and your arm is in there. So yeah, you wanna be careful about that. This is pretty easy. I got a nut right here, nut right there. Got these 3 bolts holding this on, and this motor will come out, and then this whole regulator and everything will come out of there. So let's do that now. All right, get that nut off. This one, these 3 bolts. We're putting a new motor and regulator in. So there's the old motor assembly. I don't see anything wrong with it, but it's definitely slowing down. This right here is coming off. Just gonna pull this, pull that off. It has this little clip thing right here that was kind of holding it on, and that's it. You see the cable inside there. This thing rotates and it moves this cable. You rotate one direction, the cable will move out on one side and in on the other, and that's just what slides this thing up and down. Let's see if we can move it. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be binding. Definitely something wrong. And I flip this around. As I move this, you can see that turning in there. So, but we're gonna replace this anyway. So set that aside. I got the new motor right here. Looks exactly the same. Got the new window regulator. So here's how the regulators come. They have this zip tie, or if you're Canadian, zap strap. I think that's what they call it, zap strap. I like zap strap better. So yeah, so they got this zip tie thing right here holding this on, just so that this doesn't pop out. Because if it were to pop out, it would unravel this cable, and then it would just be a big gigantic mess. So we are going to stick this on. I'm gonna have to get something to cut that that zap strap. All right, I am going to cut this zip tie right here, and I'm going to hold this with my finger just to make sure it doesn't fly out or anything. It shouldn't, but you never know, which is exactly why they put this on here, just to make sure. I'm going to stick this in place, which should pop right into there like that. And then, of course, these little studs that are sticking out there go into these holes, and you want to make sure that they line up. So there's one right there. Just going to get that started, and other one on the other side right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that those are in place, and I'm going to tighten them down like right now. So that one tight, that one tight, so that's on. And grab the new motor. Just sits in there. It's got this gear right there, plastic gear. It goes into that plastic gear. Stick that on there, drop it down into place. You can turn it back and forth if you need to, just to line up the holes for the screws, bolts, whatever you want to call them. They're pretty long. And to stick those in place. And what these are going to do is they're actually cutting threads. So they're going to cut threads into the new regulator. And I don't know why they do that, but that's just the way they do it. So you definitely want to hold the back. So it's going to be cutting threads into these spots right here. So I want to hold this on so it's not going to push it off. At the same time, make sure this is pushed down, and then I'm going to take my cordless, just like that. And I'm going to make sure it's tight, but not too tight, because we don't want this thing to bind in here. So that should be good. We'll see how it works. Let me get this thing put back on. Okay, before I put this on, I just want to let you know, whenever we put this regulator on here, this piece right here just happens to be at the right spot so you can get into there. And that's the way they put them, so that you can get in here and put your window in without having to move the thing up and down. So I'm gonna stick this in here, fit right into place, get this clip to hold it on the top. Come on, line up. Line up, get in there. All right. And then every single bolt and screw that I have set down on the floorboard over here, the customer's vehicle, and get all these put back into place really quick. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out up here. I'm going to drop the window down so that it lines up. Pick the window up, grab this out of there, set that aside, and just slowly let the window down. And let's see how this went. So if you see inside there, see whenever I drop the window down, it goes into place. Same way on this side. Drop the window down. I want to move it back and forth and make sure that the holes are lined up so I can get the bolts in So let me get those bolts in. Okay, I know that you can't really see this, but I got this bolt right on the end of my cordless, and I'm gonna stick it in there, and I'm gonna line it up, and I'm very carefully, very slowly make sure that it connects. Not the best way to do things, but it works as long as it works, if you know what I mean. I don't want to cross thread. So they're on there, so I'm gonna just go ahead and tighten them. And that is not tightening through the glass, it's actually tightening to a plastic panel that's molded or glued onto the glass. So it's not like if I tighten this too tight, it's gonna break the glass, but I definitely don't wanna over tighten this. So I got that in, and I'm gonna put these plugs on right there, because otherwise I'll forget. Get this connected. Get all these clips in, get the motor connected up. That clip pops into there. This one right there. This goes to the window switch. This one over here. And so on and so forth. Get these attached and that plugged in right there. And that piece right there, which this operates the door lock, door latch, and stuff like that. So we definitely want to make sure this is plugged in, otherwise your door's not going to be locking and unlocking properly. So, and there is one piece. Sometimes this happens and sometimes they break, but there's one clip right here that was left behind by the door panel. There's also another one up on the top here. So I only have two that came off. So let's get this door panel on. Let me just hook up the door panel and see if the window works. So let's see what happens. Okay, here's the door panel. I'm gonna hook the connector back up to the window regulator, or switch rather, and I do have the engine running. So just gonna kind of hold this up here like this, and let's see if this works. It's going up, going down, and that's as far as it goes. Up, down. This window needs to be cleaned for sure, and I'm gonna clean that up. I know that the customer has a dog or something that's they're putting their nose all over this and getting it dirty, but you know, just to do a proper service, you know, come on, just clean a window. So let me show you this trim piece right here. This I guess it's like an inner belt molding. I can slide it out like this. So sliding it all the way out. On this inside piece right here, it has this track, or this area that these clips, if I can show you, the clip right there, and somewhere along here. That may be the only clip. But what it does is it goes into this, right? This, of course, is the belt molding. This felt part of it is going to go up against the window right here, and this bottom part is kind of like a seaming weld is going to sit along here. So I'm going to just kind of set it in here like that, and along there I'm going to push it down. So now I'm going to take the trim panel, and I'm just going to push it up against here, and this little piece right in here, where it is right there, will pop into there. So I don't have to worry about having this on there and having it kind of go down like that, because it's a little bit harder to do it that way. This piece right here, it sits right inside. There's a little groove right there that hopefully you can see that it goes into, and it just kind of sits just like that. And of course you don't want to pull this thing away. If you pull it away, then this is going to pop back out. So right now I have the switch hooked up. That's in as good as it can get. Switch is hooked up, this is on. So I'm just going to push this door panel up against the door, make sure everything lines up, and then I'm just going to push on it. It's a little bit harder to do with one hand, but push on that, pop that in, pop all this on, and all those clips just pop right into place. Windows still work. Yep, it's going down, going up. So in this case, I don't know. I just have a feeling it was probably just the motor. But you never know. A lot of times what will happen with these, especially older CX-9s, for sure. I guarantee you CX-9s, if you're a CX-9 owner, an older CX-9, you've had the thing where you're trying to open your window and it just goes brrr, you know, or maybe the window works, but when it gets to the top, it goes brrr. And what that is the window regulators, they bind. And they don't bind too badly, but they bind to the point where the motor just can't handle it. And it starts to strip the gear inside the motor. So the window will move, but when it gets to the end, the motor hits that strip part and you hear it brrr, like that. You need to replace the window regulator and motor assembly in those, because if you put a new motor on it, the new motor is going to end up doing the same thing, you know, after a while of having to deal with pushing that regulator. So usually the regulators bind, causing the motor to have issues. That's usually the way it goes. So right now I just got a couple screws to put in here, and we'll be done. All right, one screw here, another screw right there, holds the thing all together. This piece, we just, I'll turn it the right way, that just fits down in there. This piece right here, hopefully you can see this, just slide that into there like that, pop it into place, and that's it. And that is pretty much it. Okay, just cleaning this up a little bit right now. There is some stuff on this window that just does not want to come off. So I don't think it's human stuff. So anyway, all right, that is pretty much it for this episode. So not too hard. It's not too hard. You can do this job yourself. Replace the window regulator, window motor assembly, front window, rear window, it doesn't matter. The CX-5, 2021 CX-5, pretty easy. Most of them are about somewhere around that caliber. They're pretty easy to do. You can do it yourself. If you have a problem with your window binding and it doesn't want to move up and down, one of the first things you can try and do is get some silicone spray or maybe some rubber care or something and spray it down. You know, let your window down, spray it down into those run channels on both sides, and move the window up and down and let it kind of lubricate those run channels. And sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes those run channels get really dirty and sometimes they need to be cleaned out. But if you've done that and it's still not working, it's possible that it's your window regulator that's binding and it's causing the motor to go weak. And the motor gets weak, it doesn't want to move, like you saw with this one right here. So thanks guys for sticking around. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hey, I'll catch you in the next one. GoPro, stop recording.